Then you read the statistics of American soldiers and unusual cancers. Then you look at the statistics of many, many other illnesses and conditions, and you say, no, wait a minute, this is inhumane. This weapon is making people sick who aren't even soldiers, and not only that, it's killing people and maiming them in a way that is simply inhumane.
Being patriotic and supporting the troops is not buying some yellow plastic magnetic ribbon made in China and putting it on your car. It is standing up against the odds of saying, no, sir, you are lying.
The evidence, the epidemiological evidence for the health effects of uranium are very confused, very confused. And the reason for this is that the people who do these sorts of studies are usually people who are funded by the military, and so there haven't been a lot of official or even dare I say it, very good epidemiological studies of Gulf War veterans.
The uranium munitions were not only used against Iraqi armor in vehicles, but they were extensively used apartment buildings, water treatment, sewage sanitation facilities, hospitals, and all kinds of other structures. So we have thorough contamination. We do not have the resources, we do not have the capability to clean up this contamination, which is not just in a limited area, but just like an entire checkerboard covered in the entire region.
We are suffering from also from the pollution of our environment after the war. So daily we see many congenital malformation among the newly born babies, and also increase the mortality rate among the pediatric age group. In addition to the other problems that deficiency of medical equipment, medical incubators, and also medical monitors, we are losing our children without management.
One thing that the Department of Defense is trying to prevent is from the American public and all the citizens of the world, and also the residents of these nations, from knowing exactly what the true casualty count is. If the American public sees these documents, which should be readily available on different websites, and they find out what the true casualties are, what the true cost of war is, then they would be in a total uproar, and we would see an immediate cessation to the use of uranium munitions. General Iraqi People, when he was the Chief of Staff for the U.S. Army, had issued all the orders mandating thorough and prompt medical care for all exposed individuals. He had issued the direct orders himself, ordering thorough, prompt environmental remediation. He had issued the orders himself, mandating thorough training for all individuals. This has not occurred. General Shinseki's initial order was from August of 1993. So it's always been known.
Probably right now, as we speak, the most phone calls that I'm getting are coming from those troops that have come back from Iraq with an exposure to depleted uranium. And they're confused, they don't think right, they have an inability to handle their temper, they are basically compromised individuals. But you don't look for what you don't want to find.
I was with the tank battalion. Tanks are armored with depleted uranium, and the ammunition is depleted uranium. I was around it a lot. I actually asked my doctor, because I was a hospital corpsman, so I asked the medical officer that was with us, and what he told us about depleted uranium is it was completely safe, that we would have to virtually eat it in order for there to be any kind of problems. I've since learned that that was an outright lie.
The leaders haven't told the soldiers, the commanders haven't told the soldiers, the leaders and the commanders are not complying with their own requirements. And the Department of Defense leaders have done everything they can to prevent that information from getting out. It's real simple. If we told the soldiers how hazardous uranium munitions use is, told them about the serious adverse health and environmental effects and what's really happened, they'd never use them. They'd never go near it. And the U.S. would be forced to stop it, and we would no longer thoroughly contaminate the earth, air, water, soil, and food, and result in consequent adverse health and environmental effects. It's real simple. Inform the soldier. Tell them the risks. And when you send them to combat and they get exposed and they get sick, you provide prompt and effective medical care. And don't argue and don't debate with them. Don't destroy the records. Don't destroy the medical records. Don't destroy the personnel records as occurring in St. Louis, Missouri, the National Records Center. Tell the truth. Take care of the American warrior. They've earned it, or we've earned it, and I've earned it.
What about the women and children, the brave women who have served in Iraq, the brave wives of soldiers, the hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqi women and children? Let's take a look at some of the biological effects that they are suffering from.
I am really dreadfully afraid to try and conceive and carry a child. I am just looking at my hair and my memory and my skin and things like that. I can't imagine what's happening on the inside of me and what may have happened to that very fragile genetic material that's in the ovaries. It scares me to death to try and think about carrying a child.
I had one doctor tell me, he was an Air Force doctor, matter of fact, captain, who did not physically examine me, but spent 10 minutes with me in his examining room asking me questions. And after discussing the gynecological problems, he looked me point blank in the face and asked me why I even wanted to get pregnant, why even try. I left there in tears that day.
The main problem is the increase in the number of the congenital anomalies of the fetus. And we have many problems while dealing with these cases. The termination of pregnancy in the first trimester needs many drugs which are unavailable because of the vaginal condition of our country and of our city, Al-Fallujah.
And the incidence of severe congenital anomalies, babies being born with no brains or single eyes or no arms, has also gone up 700%. So women are too terrified to deliver their babies.
Well, now my son was born with a birth defect as a result of the war. Now he's had cleft lip and palate. He's had 3 surgeries. He needs at least 2 more. VA is not covering any of that. They've denied all of our benefits. He has speech therapy. He has tubes in his ears. He's had constant ear infections, so now he has hearing loss in one side. He has no father. He died when he was 2. He was not pleased that we were going to have another baby. Not that he didn't want to have another baby, but he was afraid. He was afraid of what he was exposed to. I didn't share that concern at that time. I was just thrilled. And then my son was born, and my husband carried the guilt of that child until he died. He carried that guilt with him. He always blamed himself for it.
In order not to disturb their apparent equilibrium in which they are, soldiers, veterans used to take the line of the least resistance, and that is keeping silent. Some of them speak, but not too loud and not too long, because either by risk of losing their livelihood or by emotional pressure from different sources, they give up and they accept their fate.
To think that they're not aware is a lie. All 435 offices on the House side I have visited so many times I can't even keep track through the years. They're not aware of our plight. They've been made aware of, and they don't care. We go in, meet with them, give them a briefing, give them the information, and we come out with laws that are one piece at a time. And we're 16 years into this, and we still have veterans that aren't getting treatment, that aren't getting diagnosed the appropriate way.